Hello everyone, I'm Steve Savant, the host of the Business Insurance Zone. On today's show, we're interviewing Rick Yeatts, president of Yeatts Performance Group. Rick's a personal coach and a strategic sales closer. On today's topic, we're going to be talking about Rick about the special event, the Law of Engagement, and offering coaches manuals and 5 video vignettes absolutely free at brokersalliance.com/personal life coach. Rick's going to be talking about engaging the emotions, which is key to the closing sale. He'll help us read clients' emotions and feelings. He'll touch the battle of the wills, fears, and client paralysis, and learn how to inspire a client to take action. And remember, you can watch this show and all our shows on YouTube, Vimeo, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and the on-demand section of brokersalliance.com. Well, welcome everyone. I'm Steve Savant, the whiz of the biz, and with me today, performance coach Rick Yeatts. Welcome to the show, Rick.
Well, I'm glad to be back here again.
Well, we're glad to have you, and we're broadcasting live to a nationwide audience of financial professionals from Fountain Hills, Arizona, home of America's largest fountain. Remember, you can contact me all the time on my email address at thebiz@brokersalliance.com or touch base with me on the phone, 1-800-290-7226, extension 147, for any quotes, any questions you may have on life insurance, annuities, LTC, DI, and of course, group pensions. And also remember, I don't give tax or legal advice, so before moving forward with anything you hear on the show, always consult your CPA and attorney, and if you're FINRA licensed, always touch base with your compliance department. Well, we've had you on all this week, and it's been a week, Coach Yeatts.
It has.
Well, Coach, I like to call him Coach because it's not, it's kind of, I don't know, is there a difference between coaching and mentoring?
Very close, very, very kindred to one another. You can coach without mentor. Mm-hmm. I make a distinction in them, but for many people, it's the same word.
I like the word coach because I have good feelings about all the guys that that when I was a young man, my football coach, my hockey coach, my baseball coach, I just had good feelings about these guys.
Oh, really?
Right?
That's good.
Yeah, very good. They were hard, don't get me wrong.
Right.
Discipline, had a way about them. They had to do their protocols. They used to say my way or the highway.
Right.
But I have good feelings about that. It's interesting to note that even the most successful people, which is the highest demographics of your clientele, you think about the people who aren't producing, those would be the people that be writing the check. Mm-hmm. The people that are writing your checks to help you with your practice are people that are already 6-figure successful.
Oh, absolutely.
And so that always it blows my mind.
Well, they're willing to invest in their success. Many of the people who don't write the checks are not willing to do it. I go to the gym. I've been going to the gym my whole life. Well, and recently I gauged it I don't know how many times I've done it, but I've needed some special training because as I've gotten older, seasons have changed, things are a little different. I don't know how to work out the way I did when I was 20. It's a different day. So I'm having to get people help me how to be successful in the gym at this day. Let me tell you something. The reason I'm able to do that is because I've always done that, but I need a new coach for this day to help me succeed, and I'm investing in my greatest asset, myself. Mm-hmm. I have a demanding schedule. I travel. I'm speaking. I'm coaching. I'm writing and doing the things that I have to do and enjoy doing. Mm-hmm. But so I have to invest in those things. That's just the nature of the game, and I'm willing to do that.
Well, I'm thinking when you think about the law of engagement, I guess I do a preamble to the law, which is, are you ready to engage in self-improvement at a level that'll take you to the next production level or sales level? Are you willing to do that?
You see, that's good.
Because that's a big question. And if you're willing to do that, then today's show, right, the law of engagement is going to make total sense to you.
Right.
So let's get into it because I really want to hammer this down tonight.
Well, one of the things we're talking about, and in the context of our last show that we're talking about how to become sell anything to anybody anytime, and we were dealing with 2 laws. First of all, it's the law of influence that we just discussed in our previous session on how to create influence. The foundation of everything is the law of influence. That is, how do I create the arena where I can have a positive effect on the actions, behaviors, and beliefs of those people who I'm trying to offer my opportunity for my product or my services. That's influence. Then today we're talking about the law of engagement. Now, engagement, this is how you define the law of engagement. At Yeatts Performance Group, we say it this way. People are emotional, and they buy on emotion first and justify on logic. That's simply the law of engagement.
Wow, wait a minute.
People buy on emotion first
and
justify on logic.
So people are really buying on emotion, and then later on they'll justify with all the facts and figures and the math.
Right.
Well, talk a little bit about
that.
That
justify
like
the math, especially. Well, the fact of the matter is, think about the world around you. We're an emotional-driven consumer world. everything. I don't buy ice cream. The advertisement I saw on the billboard driving over here was an ice cream with this beautiful lady in this skimpy negligee standing there eating ice cream, saying, telling me that if I eat this ice cream, the message is I could probably have a nice lady like that in my life, right? Or wow.
Yeah, I'm sorry, my habit with Dairy Queen just went off the chart.
The fact of the matter is, if I drink this product, I'll have this body. If I buy that car, I'll have this many friends. If I have this kind of beverage in my home on the weekend, I'll have all these buds show up. Everything is emotional driven. It's sellers who don't sell on emotion want to tell people how their product worked. People who sell an engagement tell people not how their product works, but how they're going to feel when they use that product. That's what clients want, because clients don't want to be sold. So the reality is, two powerful foundations create consumer-centric selling. One is the law of influence. The second is the law of engagement. And the law of engagement says that we buy on emotion and justify on logic, because we're just emotionally driven people. We have an emotional driven culture. And our clients have and we want to create an arena where our clients have an emotional commitment to the product and all services we're offering. And we do that. That's our responsibility. Now, that's where I say that we stop making and selling and we start sensing and responding to people. It's one of the big realities.
If I'm trying to learn how to change. Let's say I'm trying to change the way I sell. I've been doing it exactly the wrong way, the way you're suggesting. Now I have to move away from. I need to sell on the emotions to make my client the center of everything that I'm doing. How do I migrate from I've been the center to my client being the center? I've been talking about the great issues of my product. Now I want to talk about my client. How do I make that travel over there, the journey?
We're back 2 shows now on our thinking because that's exactly where we do it. We have to change our thinking, and that takes a transformation. Really, because a lot of us have had, one of the challenges we face today, and many of your listeners will deal with this, we've had some success reinforcing all the bad behaviors, and we think it's about us. We have a good product, we have a great opportunity, we have great marketing. Your company's really working and they're doing everything they can to make their agents successful, correct? So we're doing all that, so they're having some success, and their thinking is, well, I'm doing pretty good and I don't do any of this stuff. The question is, again, how good could you be doing if you were doing it right, if you were applying yourself, if you were consumer-centric, and you were creating a region of engagement. All we're talking about with a region of engagement is really creating the right rapport or the right influence that allows you to emotionally connect people to the opportunity that you are offering in a way that they understand how they're going to feel when they use it, not just how it works when they have it.
I was just trying to put the imagery in my mind of a lady in a very attractive outfit and attire trying to sell me life insurance, kind of holding it like, I just have, my image is like, because we're so.
I'm surprised it hasn't happened, to be honest with you.
So am I. I'm waiting for some carrier to come up with it. But I guess I'm thinking of, I want to move into connectivity, where I'm really caring about my client, where he or she is the center of my universe during this time that we're engaging, that we're having a relationship. I notice that all of social media is relational, never transactional. And that's being driven by a generation younger than you and I, Rick.
Exactly.
So that tells me that they've changed, they want to change the way they're engaged.
Right.
And I saw the rollout for the big Ford. I'm so sorry, but it skips my mind that whatever the Ford was, I forgot what vehicle it was, but they made the rollout on Facebook well before it hit television.
Exactly.
And I'm starting to see people they're so relational, even social media, that the stats and the data metrics tell us this.
You think about the things that we buy today and how we're being set up to emotionally engage. If we own this particular technical piece of equipment, we're going to be smart people. Now, I don't know about you, but feeling smart's pretty emotional to me. And if I buy this, I'm going to feel safe. I don't know about you, but that hits an emotion with me. Everything is about the emotional arena. So we have a generation of sales guys out there that have basically learned to sell on product and knowledge and competitiveness and comparativeness, and they haven't learned to do this. So this is a big challenge for them. Now, the younger generation gets it, but the vast majority of salespeople today in the 40 and over group, so we can be struggling here in a little bit, especially when we talk about selling on emotion. But the fact of the matter is, if you really do a good study about the way we make buying decisions, which is the triune thinking. There's three parts involved in the brain to the triune thinking of how we make buying decisions. The first part of our brain is a very small part called the amygdala, which is the arena of fear and flight. It's the part of where our brain goes to when our thinking process goes to when we're afraid, which is where most people go to immediately when they're being courted for a sales opportunity. We get our walls up. The second part of our brain is the midbrain. It's the vast majority of our brain where all the emotions, feelings, and connectivity to how we like things, it all goes in there. It's the fluff. It's where we connect. The vast majority of our thinking process and the vast majority of our brain is the neocortex, where all of our information is stored, where we get analytical, we get factual, we put all the numbers together and we do things. Now here's some interesting research reality. First of all, you can't be in two parts of your brain at one time. We have studied so much about how to sell something, we should have been studying how people buy things. Because if we understood that, it would help us a whole lot in how we shape our process.
So our statistics on marketing, it's not what they bought, how they bought it, why they bought it.
That's right. This is what Hollywood and advertisers understand that a lot of sales organizations don't. They understand how and why people do what they do. Now, what I just explained to you is how that we make a decision, the process of buying. Now, here's another statistic about, and research has proven, you can't not only be in the same parts of the brain at the same time. You can when you move from a base of fear to a base of facts, you have to move through the part of the brain that's emotional to get there. All cords run through that part of the brain. So what does that tell me? I can't overcome a battle of logic with logic. I can't overcome people's fears with fear. I have to overcome it by going through the very part of their brain that for many salespeople, it's the oh my God zone. That's the emotional area where we have to talk about feelings, and we have to talk about those things that are very, very, very powerful in creating impetus to take action.
When I think about the difference of, we're all striving for better production because we want to give our families generally a greater lifestyle and have the things that maybe we didn't have as children or whatever.
Sure.
It's always trying to betterment, we hope. That would be the reason. When I'm looking at trying to connect with clients, and I think we all want to do that, we have all the marketing skill sets, all the tactical issues down. I think this issue is the big hole. This is the answer. This is the foundational truth that we have to return to. I had a little of this teaching when I was a younger agent. I really kind of forgot my way. It's good to be reconnecting. Well, listen, you're listening to the Business Insurance Zone, the talk show that focuses on insurance in your practice. In the next segment, we're going to continue the law of engagement with Coach Rick Yeatts right after the break. I just want to take a little moment for the break from Coach Rick and talk to you about the MASH unit, the Medical Assessment Standard Health Units. I want to be able to break this down into three categories because we believe that this fall is going to be a huge impact on life sales, and especially because benevolent underwriting has never been any better than it is going to be this year. And I want to talk about two basic concepts: the triage field underwriting, which we help supply you with the ability and tools to make the call in the field, and the premium tolerance test, a way of doing bookend quotes to quantify or qualify the client and whether we should move forward in a regular application, or we should default and do an informal, or just do a cursory quote, which is a quick number just to see if the client can write the check. The secondary area is that we're now looking at preferred, standard, and substandard in three different categories. If you'll call 1-800-290-7226, extension 147, we'll show you how it works and how you can apply it to your practice. Welcome back to the Business Insurance Zone. I'm Steve Savant, your host, insurance columnist, and interviewer extraordinaire. With me is Coach Rick Yeatts, president of Yeatts Performance Group and personal coach to high-end producers. I was going to say to the stars. I wanted to say that so bad. We're talking again, we're continuing the law of engagement. And remember, everything you're hearing, you can get a little bit more on this just by hopping out. Coach is giving us his coaching manual and his 5 video vignettes. Just hop out to the site, www.brokersalliance.com/personal life coach. You can download all this material for absolutely free.
Sure.
Well, Coach, talk about it. We're talking about, and I like this, we're talking about the rules of engagement. Steve's kind of returning to his roots because I remember these guys talking about all this. I remember all these closes that we have. Every close that I ever saw when I was first trained 30 years back was not about analytics, math, our product, illustrations, proposals.
Right.
It was all about the emotion of, like, in my specific case, life insurance.
Right.
I remember the screen door closed,
Sure.
the rose closed, the medical closed. They were all emotive. They had nothing to do with logic.
Right.
And I think we think sometimes that we've grown past the emotional sale,
Right.
that we're now more staid in our practice.
Right.
And we don't, that's kind of beneath it. That was our adolescent sales process that we went through as young men and women in this
Right.
business. But actually, we're returning to it.
No, I don't know that we've ever left, but I'll tell you, our training has left it, and our training has become more analytical, more factual, more product driven. It's beginning to be complicated. I mean, you got to have some chops to do what you guys do. I just listened to your advertisement there of the things you're offering, and I didn't understand half of I didn't understand a fourth of what you were talking about.
Wow, bad commercial.
No, that's a really good thing, because you know what? That's product that you got to be in the biz to know that. You know, I'm an outsider to that biz. I only train in there. I go in and train. But the fact of the matter is, these guys got to learn that, so it keeps them on that part of the brain that's constantly about the this and the that and the qualification of premiums and the triage and all that stuff. And it's really powerful stuff. They've got to learn all that. But when they go out to meet a potential client, they got to they've got to have a shift that goes on from product to people. And that shifting begins with learning to create influence, and then learning to create an arena of engagement. And that engagement is really, really, really defined by how and emerges by the way we do a discovery. For example, I know that every client, that potential client that I'm going to do business with, has what we define at Yeatts Performance Group as a dominant performance motive. Now, what's a dominant performance motive? It's the emotional reason why they want to take advantage of my opportunity, of the product I'm selling or the service I'm offering. That's a dominant performance motive. It's dominant because it's emotional. Not just a logistical, not a physical, but it is emotional reason why they want to do that. That's where people's triggers are. It's in the emotional arena. Now, how do I do that? Well, I need to do a discovery, and I start that with the law of influence, of doing that, creating that arena of influence. Well, I'm doing a discovery, and the discovery comes in 3 levels. First of all, I'm going to find out the facts. Who are you? Where'd you come from? How'd you get here? The second thing I want to talk about are the facts and the feelings. How do you like being here? How long has that been happening in your life? What's been the end result for you for living this way? Tell me about your career. How does it feel to be where you are today? But the third arena is all emotional. And when I'm looking for that arena is the emotional reason, or the dominant performance motive. That is the dominant performance. It's not the only reason people are going to take action and take my offer, but it is the dominant reason, because I'm going to connect all the other things to do that. You know, in advanced sales training, we talk about how to make the link, how to create urgency and gain commitment. All those wonderful things that are awesome and they're great, but today's buttons are so high that if you haven't really built the right kind of foundation of influence and engagement, they're not going to follow you down that process.
I'm thinking of a case that we looked at some years back, where I brought into the case, and the agent had the case of his life. These people were huge. It was going to be a major $20 million estate case, and he went off in the first 20. He brought me in case there was any technical questions, and he went for the first 20 minutes pontificating on the law, the code, the unified credit, all the big buzzwords of our industry, which I could see his clients did not get.
Right.
Then he turned to me and said, "Steve, would you like to add anything?" And I said, "Yes, we're going to make 2 promises to you." I turned to the mail and I said, "We're going to defeat estate taxes in every way possible under the code. And my promise to you," and I turned to his wife, "we'll distribute your estate equally among your children." That's all I promised. All she cares about was,
Exactly.
are we going to transfer this, and are you going to treat the kids equally? All he cares about is pass as much as you can to the kids.
Right.
It's a math. And he was sitting there thinking that it was necessary. He thought it was necessary to pontificate on the code to get trust and establish authority.
Well, see, and this is one of the great downsides. He probably made a very big sale, and it reinforced him to continue to go out and tell people how this product's going to work in great detail. instead of tell them how they're going to feel when they own it. You're going to feel like you can take care. We're going to take care of you. You can feel secure knowing your kids are going to have this benefit when the time comes, and that we can be trusted. Those are what people want. You see, what we're doing is we're selling on logic and trying to close on logic instead of selling on emotion and close on logic. Those are the real challenges. And because representatives today really don't know how to do that. They really have made themselves believe that it's all about the product. And unfortunately, today, for many of them, it has. Emotions are rampant today, and we need to understand how that energy moves people in the right directions. So here's some of the things I want to talk about. Now, how do you create an engaged arena for people to buy? Well, first of all, you got to bring the engagement with you. It takes engagement to create engagement. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean the vast majority of representatives that I talk to who are heading out on a sales opportunity today are selling, and they themselves are not engaged. They are very distracted. They're all over the place. They're thinking about everything in the world. The most contagious thing in life are emotions. Fear produces fear. Anxiety can produce anxiety. You know, in my home, everything can be going good, and I walked in with a very anxious day and anxiety all over me, and within a few minutes, everybody's got anxiety and anxiousness everywhere, and I'm looking at them and saying, hey, what's wrong with you guys? And they thinking, we were great till you got here. You know, that's the truth about emotions. Emotions are contagious. And so as a sales representative, the first thing I want to do to create an emotional engaged selling arena is that I need to make sure that my emotions are right, that I'm going in, first of all, focusing on them. Second of all, that I'm all in, that whatever those things out there that could be hindering me are not in my way today, and that I'm engaged, and I've got my sensories into the reality, and I'm connecting with people on a 5-sensory level.
When I think about how do I get to that place where I have a good, dominant performance motive, and let's say I have it. Let's just assume for a second I need adjustment here.
Right.
Some of us will need course adjustments in this. Some may be some fine tuning, but we want to all get to a dominant performance motive that actually is good for our client.
Right.
So how do I,
because they got to give that to me.
Right.
Why would they give that up if they don't trust me? See, people give me the roadmap to the sale. I do not know what they need to hear from me today in order for me to communicate with them in a way that makes sense and makes my influence develop. But they're going to tell me.
I'm wondering if does a consumer-centric thinking, does the consumer himself even know why we're meeting for the first time?
I think a lot of times because of the way they have been poorly developed in the sales arena of America, I believe they come in with a very hunger and a desire to get their needs met, but also with a wall and great tension to try to keep us from knocking them down. The reason they're there is to meet the greatest needs in their lives. People want to have their needs met. They want to know if we can help them, and they want to know if they can trust us to allow that to occur. Our job is to prove that. And if we're engaged in the process, they can begin to see that. When was the last time, Steve, you ever had a great, or any of our listeners, had a really great buying experience with something of a real important nature, a car, a house, something that really was, it's more than a McDonald's hamburger, something that's really important. What was involved in that? What made it a great experience for you? If you've had any, they stick out. Right. And they stick out profoundly. And they stick out because of certain reasons, because they made it about us, because they really made us feel like they cared about us, and that we mattered, and that we were the most important thing. And it wasn't about their paycheck. It was about, you start thinking about and analyzing the really great buying experiences you've had in your life, and then think about this: what do I need to do to get that to my clients, to feel the way I felt when that occurred to me? I only had one of those in the last year, and it was awesome. I actually wanted to write a book out of it. It was an amazing buying experience. But I've had so many poor ones. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
That where the engagement wasn't there, the influence wasn't there, the consumer-centric reality didn't experience there. It was about them. It was about their product. It wasn't about me. I needed what they had to offer, and I walked away. Sometimes I still bought, but a lot of times I didn't.
I'm thinking, when you were saying, think about the most influencer, the one of your buying things, I'm thinking like my best one was, I was with my cardiologist.
Wow.
And he walked in and he said, well, I've seen your blood pressure. He had all the stats, all the truth. And he goes, what's causing the high blood pressure? How's everything going at home? How's everything going at work? He went through a litany of personal questions, which at first I wanted to react to say, you're just my doctor. It's none of your business, right? But he's saying that my medical stats were affected by my emotional stats or my lifestyle or whatever that is. And so I said, well, I think I'm just going to be brutally honest and tell him this is what I'm up against. And he says, I can correct some of this if you're willing to go down a certain dietary training and a little bit change in the way you exercise. And most of all, he said, these things that you said that cause stress are not worth it. I never had anybody tell me it was not worth it. Sure. And he said it for my well-being. I felt like he listened to me. He got out of me what I didn't really want to tell him. And because he made it central, instead of coming in and giving me my prescription,
right,
he wanted to fix me.
Well, he engaged you.
Yeah.
He got in a level that made you feel comfortable, and he engaged you. And listen, you said this is, you're not sure if this is applicable. This is a cardiologist. Let me just pierce this dark reality. Every decision we make is an emotional, whether it feels like it or not. I'm talking about the most analytical decision on planet Earth. It still has an emotional involved. We're emotional beings. We can't separate that out of anything we do. To understand that and to know that it's a part of who you are, when I come to talk to you about my product, I need to understand that now, not only you're an emotional being, but emotions have a major effect on the decisions you're going to make. So I need to bring my emotional reality in as well. Care and concern are very, very contagious. Desire, trust, these are things that we can convey. And we do it by how we interact. Now, I can go into a company and I can train a company how to become consumer-centric, how to learn to create influence, how to learn to build engagement, but what I can't do is change their mind about the value of this. This is something they have to decide. Do you want to sell the way you're selling and get what you have, or would you be willing to learn how to do that at a level that will transform your career and take you to a new place?
Well, I'm thinking that value-based selling, which I think is actually a book name, is actually a great move where we want to move over to value-based selling, not product selling, not me selling, not my power, my personality selling, but move into values, because we actually came to a place where we thought right, we started believing what we were thinking,
right,
and all of a sudden my performance and my production got better.
Good stuff.
Coach, I want to thank you for being on our show all this week.
My pleasure.
God bless you. We appreciate you. You can watch us all on www.brokersalliance.com. I'm Steve Savant. You've been listening to the Business Insurance Zone. That's the buzz on the biz for the day. Get in the zone, the Business Insurance Zone.
This has been a Bravo video event of the National Insurance Clearinghouse and Brokers Alliance, one of the largest distributors of insurance products and services to a nationwide network of insurance professionals. You can contact Brokers Alliance at brokersalliance.com or 1-800-290-7226, extension 147.